So today I'm going to be propagating the string of hearts. So I've had quite a few string of hearts. I had got 3 cuttings of different varieties of the string of hearts. One was the Woodii, that's these ones. One was the silver, and the other one was the Variegated. So I had planted all of them in the same pot. As you can see, this is the semi-hydro from Soil Ninja. It's Lechuza also does them and it calls them Pawn. However, the Soil Ninja's semi-hydro does not have slow release fertilizer, so I do add them in separately. And when I initially got them, I had propagated them in water, and gosh, this was done around autumn or winter time, so I thought it was quite slow. However, it's been growing phenomenally. So I had also got some string of hearts, the string of turtles, which are still growing, but I've lost quite a few of them. And my string of pearls didn't make it. So I'm very happy that these string of hearts are doing really well. And of course, my plant goal is like the crazy plant guys string of hearts. Oh, they're so amazing. They look so good. So yes, that's like my plant goal with them. But I love how beautiful and delicate they look. And they were really long. So I cut them all the way to the end of the pot. So it sits nice and, small at the moment, because within some time it will start growing quite long anyway. But I don't want to repot this, because it's growing really well in this pot. So this is a small self-watering pot. As you can see, it's quite tiny, so it's not a very big pot. And it's got a wicking cord inside. You got water over here that you can see, and I absolutely love this pot. So this is my self-watering pot that I'm going to leave on the side. So what we're going to do is we're going to be making our own. I'm going to be making my own self-watering pot, and I do have a separate video on how I make these, but let me just show you one of them. So I'm going to need 3 different pots, because that's my ideal number for the number of cuttings that I have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and measure it. So I'm going to look from here to here, and it's going to be a little bit inside. So this is where it's going to be. Okay, so let me try and cut this. So I'm going to take 3 different pots. So I'm going to cut 3 of them. Okay, so I've got my wicking cord. I'm just going to make a knot at the end. And I'm going to pass it through. So as I mentioned, I keep the knot on the inside, so it lets the pot slide in a lot more comfortably. And we're going to go down. And there we go. And there it is. So it's just about at the end, so it's just right for me. And I'm going to do the same for the other 2 as well. Sorry, I should have at least created 2 of them and kept them aside, isn't it? So just in the meanwhile, just to speak about the string of hearts. So the one thing is that because I leave them in self-watering pot, I don't have to check. So usually a lot of people will do the taco test. So you take the leaf and you check if it folds. You need to water the plant. If it doesn't fold, it's got sufficient water. So just make sure you do the taco test if you are going to be watering the plant. But since these are self-watering, I just need to keep an eye on the water level and not worry about watering them at all. And as you can also see, I do have the strings, and I also have the leaves themselves. So when I took the cutting, of course, from the node, you can plant them with the leaf, but I usually find that when I plant them with the leaf at the bottom, sometimes they do rot a lot easily as compared to if I took the leaves off. So let me show you an example. So in this example, you can see this is another node. I don't know if the camera is capturing it, but this is another node at the end, and there were 2 leaves over here as well. So what I did was, I did not cut it. So you don't cut the leaf off, you actually pull it off with this I don't know, the stem part or the petiole part. So it comes off like with this portion, and that way the roots will grow from here. So I've actually had roots growing from these also very well. And so I do have quite a few leaves that I took off, because I took off the bottom 2 leaves on each of these cuttings. So that way I actually have a few more chances of smaller plants growing, though the leaves do take a little longer. So just to mention, if you're ever trying to get your own cutting, you need to make sure, so these are the nodes. The nodes are where the leaves are growing. So you would take a cutting between the 2 nodes. So you would cut the stem off and leave 1 set of leaves at least on the plant. So with this one, it's quite a long one, but let's say if I took another cutting over here, the leaves on the top are really small, so I didn't want to keep just the small leaves, so I've left 2 set of leaves on this one cutting. But most of my other cuttings, like even this one, actually the leaves are small, so I wouldn't be able to take another cutting over there. But like over here, I only have 2 leaves, and this portion I'm going to put it inside the soil. So today the soil that I'm going to be using is, I do have enough of the Woodii for me to take 2 different pots, and with the Variegated I have 1 or 2 cuttings, so I'm going to stick with just the Vermiculite. So I am testing out Vermiculite, so it is new to me, so let's see how that goes. Once again, I haven't moistened my Perlite, but that would have been nice to do. Excuse me. So with Perlite, because it is so fine and light, it's quite easy when it's dry to stick the plant directly in. So even though these have very delicate stems, it's going to be quite easy for me to just stick the plant in. So I'm not going to bother with putting in more Perlite on the top. So let me just get this pot ready. I do like these pots because once the roots start growing, you will actually notice a lot of the roots around the bottom of the plant. It will come out through the net, and that's really fun to see. So that's quite nice. My second pot is going to have Vermiculite. The next 2 pots are going to have Vermiculite. So Vermiculite does stay a lot more moist on the top as well. So I've noticed that with my other plants that I've planted. So I quite like that. But with Vermiculite, I'm going to add it on the top. So let's get this in. Now, first, let me go on with, so what I've decided with the strings of hearts is I'm actually going to be placing 4 in different corners. So when they grow, what usually happens is, as you can see with this one, there are only about 4 vines over here, but they do get entangled very quickly. Like, oh my god, it's quite a job trying to detangle them. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and just have these added, or like, you know, stick them in. But oh gosh, I hope this is still gonna work. Usually it does just fine. So okay, that's 1, that's 2. Oh gosh, I did forget something, so let's do that. So since these do not have roots already, like if you had to see a monstera, they tend to have lots of aerial roots. So what I'm using is, I'm going to use a rooting powder on these to help with the rooting process. So I had cut them and they have been out for about 2-3 hours. So I'm not going to, it's not going to need liquid oozing out. So I'm just going to stick it into the box itself. There we go. And here. And these stems are quite large enough for you to be able to just stick it in. But of course, you don't want a lot of powder on it. Okay, this is not very common. Come on, come on. Perfect. Okay, that one I'll probably need to stick it in once the perlite's a little bit more wet. And now we've got the other pieces. So in the vermiculite, again the same thing, but this time I'm just going to put it out and they seriously do tangle up a lot. So that's the only thing that is a little bit frustrating with them. So there are 4 of them. And now I'm going to put the vermiculite on the top to hold them in. Okay. Now that we have it, just make sure that all your leaves are actually outside for sure, because they will rot. Like seriously, the leaves, when they start touching the substrate, no matter what the substrate is, these leaves rot quite easily. So make sure that the leaves are always on the top. So there we go. Okay, so the stem needs to be inside, and actually the node needs to be on the inside, and the leaves definitely out. So if you're seeing this node on the outside, you've not potted it in correctly. So there we go. That's what I've done with the stem itself. Now another thing that I am going to do at this point, and for this I will need my tweezer, which has fallen away. Give me a moment. So here's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna take the leaf on the tweezer, and I'm just gonna dip the end in the rooting powder, and I'm gonna place it on the top. Now here you cannot actually avoid it touching the substrate, so that's kind of unavoidable, but so you just place it all over your substrate, as many as you can. So it just gives it a chance to have a more full plant. And for you to have more vines as well. So that's kind of all that I'm going to be doing for all of these leaves. And once I've done that, I'm going to water the plant, and I'm going to be watering it till I'm going to be adding Super Thrive, and I'm going to make sure the water is up to the net level. And that's it for the propagation video. I hope you had a good time. And if there's anything different that you do with your string of hearts, leave it in the comments below. Thank you. Oh, there's one thing I always forget. Leave it in indirect sunlight. So it loves to get a lot of sunlight, but I don't let it get direct sunlight. It's just indirect sunlight. And that's it. Thank you. Bye.